That Yangtse is under my assembly constituency, and every year I meet the Javans and villagers of this area. It's not 1962 anymore. If anyone tries to transgress, our brave soldiers will give a befitting response. That's the word coming in. I'm cutting across to our managing editor Zaka Jacob as well, who's with us on the broadcast. Zaka, from Galwan in 2020 to Tawang in 2022, what is playing on the mind of the Chinese?
Well, clearly they are testing the waters, no doubt about it. But just a word on what Pema Khandu has said, and I think he's backing this up with the infrastructure build-up that we're seeing. India has also been building massive infrastructure, roadways that lead all the way up to the command post there, not just in eastern Ladakh, but also in Tawang. In fact, if you look at this clash point in Yangtse, this is between Bumla, which used to be the site of a famous clash in the 62 war. It is east of Bumla, and it's about 20-25 kilometers northeast of Tawang. Tawang, of course, is our last command headquarters, as it were, in that eastern sector. Basically, the clash, like Akash was saying a moment ago, this is a contested site. There are about 20-25 disputed sites across this 3,500 kilometer long line of actual control, and Yangtse happens to be one of them. Even in October 2021, there was an attempt by the Chinese PLA troops to try and capture some of these icy heights. The exact same thing happened this year as well in the intervening night between 8th and 9th December. Now, why do they need these icy heights? Whichever side is able to capture these heights, and we're talking about 15,000 feet, 17,000 feet, whoever is able to capture that then gets direct visibility across 20-25 kilometer stretch on either side of the line of actual control. So what that enables you to do is you don't have to have daily patrolling on the ground and thereby sort of press your claim lines, as it were. So that's what the Chinese were attempting to do this time around as well on the intervening night of 8th and 9th of December. At about 3 o'clock in the morning, a batch of about 300 Chinese PLA soldiers tried to forcibly take those heights at 17,000 feet. The initial Indian response, there were only about 40 or 50 Indian soldiers. They asked for reinforcements, and within a few minutes, a batch of about 100 Indian soldiers pushed back the Chinese and pushed them back in such a grave way that they were driven all the way back to very close to their command post in Yangtse. What is of concern for the Indian authorities is this. The previous set of infractions that happened in eastern Ladakh, whether it was Galwan, Hot Springs, Gogra, and of course, let's not forget Depsang and Demchok, those 2 points, those 2 friction points have not been resolved yet. There's been 16 rounds of Corps Commander talks. So coming as it does, when those 2 points have still not been resolved, for the Chinese PLA to open this new front, is this a sort of a larger design that's happening, or is this a one-off localized event? I think that's the first decision that the Indian Defence Forces need to make. If they do come to the conclusion that this is part of a pattern, then what is worrying from India's point of view is these so-called settler villages, where basically even in Yangtse, on the opposite sector of Yangtse, there is a place called Shaokang. Shaokang is a small settler village where the Chinese PLA has brought in people from the mainland. It's essentially brought in veterans and people who've served time in the paramilitary forces of China and settled them there. The fear is that these settler villages can be used as launch pads for attacks, whether it's in the eastern sector in Tawang or whether it's in the western sector in Ladakh. And I think if that is part of a larger pattern, then I think we're going to see a completely new strategy need to be drawn up to deal with these settler villages.
All right. Is this a pattern which is emerging? Thank you, Zaka, for getting us all those details. Akash also reporting on the story.